Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing with Jim and Jim. I'm Jim,
And I'm Jim.
and we're here to talk about racing. Going to start off with some breaking news. In sprint car news today, Tony Stewart of Tony Stewart Racing has dropped the legendary Donnie Schatz, effective immediately. He will be replaced by Kerry Madsen. Don't know what's going on over there. There's rumors that Tony Stewart's going to shut down the sprint car operation, like he got out of NASCAR. Seems to be all in on the drag racing now. Don't know why he wouldn't let Schatz finish the year off, but yeah, that's kind of I don't know, for me surprising. I don't follow sprint car racing religiously, but everybody knows who Donnie Schatz is. He's been with Tony Stewart Racing for 18 years. He's won 8 World of Outlaw championships, 9 Knoxville Nationals, and has 234 sprint car wins for Tony Stewart. And he just gets dropped in the middle of the season.
That's a lot of wins.
That's crazy. I don't know what to say about that. Because obviously I don't know what's going on with either side of it, but it seems kind of crappy to me. Moving on to NASCAR, the Craftsman Truck Series at Watkins Glen.
Now, all 3 series of NASCAR were at Watkins Glen, and they were running the short course for any of my fellow road course enthusiasts. I would call Watkins Glen a top 5 American road course, so I'm a fan of the track.
I don't hate it. So, yeah, I guess I'll say I'm a fan too. As usual, Corey Heim was on the pole. Imagine that. Pulled out to a 3-second lead before a caution for a stalled truck on the track. Don't remember who it was. It was like the guy's first or second race. I have no idea. A lot of drivers pitted. Some did stay out. So, Gio Ruggiero restarted in first place. Ben Rhodes got the lead immediately from the 17 truck of Gio, but Corey Heim blew past him and easily won stage 1. Heim and Ross Chastain had a good battle to start off the second stage before Heim finally settled into the lead and started building his gap back up. Caution on lap 36 when Jack Wood blew a tire and pounded the wall. Most drivers pitted. There were only 4 laps in the stage, so essentially they were just flipping the stage like they usually do. 8 trucks did stay out to try to get stage points. Most of them were guys who were right around the cut line, so they're just trying to get points because they can't win because it's the Corey Heim show. Went green with 1 lap to go in stage 2. Ben Rhodes got the lead and the stage win. Just a little note, Jake Garcia spun Connor Zilich after Zilich passed him for third. Apparently Garcia didn't like being passed by someone who isn't supposed to be in the truck series. So Garcia dumped him and then lost control and hit him again, causing some front end issues in Zilich's truck. Christopher Bell led the race to start stage 3 and led until Tony Breidinger's truck just went up in flames with 12 to go. She said over the radio that the transmission blew. I don't know, but there was lots of fire. You don't like fire when there's a pretty girl in the truck, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think anyone likes fire in the race car.
You know, I think you're right. Anyhow, excuse me. That was a big break for those that did not pit at the stage break to try to save fuel. Bell led the restart and was pulling away until Ben Rhodes, who had been complaining of vibration, lost the left rear wheel and everything attached to it. There was just an axle housing there, puking fluid out. He lost everything, so it wasn't like they forgot to tighten lug nuts or anything.
Yeah, that would certainly cause a vibration, I can see that.
It would, so whatever was vibrating broke. That brought out a caution, and then, as usual, with cautions near the end of the race in NASCAR, things got stupid. Green white checker number 1. Corey Heim got the lead from Christopher Bell on the restart, and there was a 3-truck crash. Bell, who was in second, and Tyler Ankrum, who was in third, had to pit for fuel because of the green white checker overtime NASCAR silliness. Green white checker number 2, Corey Heim leads, and 3 trucks crash again. Ty Majeski had to pit. He was currently running 5th because he did not have fuel. Green white checker number 3, Corey Heim leads. Daniel Hemrick actually had a good run. He was right on Heim's rear bumper. Heim actually, he was driving like Joey Logano. He was blocking left and right to keep Hemrick behind him. He did hang on for the win. That was Corey Heim's 1,943rd win this season. I don't know why they're even going to finish, because he will win the championship.
Well, yes. He would have won 2 already if NASCAR had a sensible point system.
That is true.
I mean, I think Corey Heim is the most disadvantaged from it, because he's got a 3-race lead in the points. And he would be impossible to catch, but it doesn't matter unless you perform at Phoenix. One other note, with Stuart Friesen out for the year, I saw the playoff bubble. The last car in, I believe it's now Jake Garcia over teammate Ben Rhodes. Really, neither of them has been a factor in any race this year, but now they're fighting for a playoff spot.
Imagine that. So, some notes. Caden Honeycutt had to retire with a power steering issue in his one-off ride in the 02 Young's Motorsports truck after being fired from Nice last week. Chris Buescher, who they brought in to drive the 66 ThorSport truck to evaluate it and see how great of a truck or not great of a truck it was, had some fuel delivery issues and was a complete non-factor, so that was a waste of time. Ross Chastain was also having fuel delivery issues. He was running up front at the beginning, but had to make multiple pit stops, so he was also a non-factor. And just today, Spire Motorsports fired Andres Perez and replaced him with Corey LaJoie, effective immediately. So this weekend, Corey LaJoie will be driving the Spire Motorsports truck, and Perez will be driving for Nice Motorsports. Nice has got like 5 trucks now. I don't know. I think every truck numbered in the 40s is going to be a Nice truck, and they will all be out there starting this weekend.
Now, what do you think of all these moves halfway through the season, firing drivers?
I think it's stupid. I'm not a fan of it. Obviously, I'm not a fan of Donnie Schatz getting dumped. But this is like 3 NASCAR guys in the last week. They're just dumping people near the end of the season, right before the playoffs. I don't remember this happening.
The only time I can remember in the recent past is when the Rackley truck fired Matt DiBenedetto during the playoffs.
Oh yeah, because they wanted to get worse.
Yeah,
I remember.
But I just don't understand it in NASCAR. I understand in some other series maybe there's a reason for it, but I don't see it.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but a lot of things NASCAR does aren't high IQ, as President Trump would say. Xfinity at Watkins Glen. Connor Zilisch on the pole. Shane Van Gisbergen dropped down to Xfinity to try to win. He qualified second. Zilisch led. Van Gisbergen was obviously second and stuck right on Connor's bumper. They had a 3-second lead, like 3-4 laps in. They were obviously the only trucks who were really in this race.
We're Xfinity cars.
Oh yeah, sorry. We're in Xfinity now. It's all the same to me. If it were up to me, Xfinity wouldn't exist and we would just have trucks and Cup. I think the quality of racing would be better. Anyhow, caution on lap 5 when Ryan Sieg dumped Josh Bilicki. On the restart, Zilisch grabbed the lead. I think this kind of set the tone. SVG was really aggressive with Connor Zilisch, and as a part-time driver dropping down and a teammate, It was kind of stupid.
I didn't see most of this race. Was it kind of like how he drove in Chicago? Or
Yeah.
Oh.
He was
It's a little on the edge.
he was physical, and when you're racing, like I say, it's you're a cup guy. You drop down, and you're racing against your teammate who's also in a very close points battle for the championship. You don't drive him like that, but he did. But Zilich got by him and pulled out to a 5-second lead before he pitted to flip the stage. Justin Allgaier stayed out to get the stage points because him and Zilich are battling for the regular season championship. So Allgaier got those 10 points. Zilich restarted first and led the entire second stage, beating Shane Van Gisbergen by at least 5 seconds. The field split on pit strategy. Leaders pretty much all pitted. Zilich led to start stage 3. Van Gisbergen pitted with 32 to go from second place. And he was blessed by the racing gods. He pitted. He was the first one to pit. And then a caution came out when Parker Retzloff and Sheldon Creed crashed. So the guys who pitted started up front. Everybody else pitted. Jesse Love restarted first. Van Gisbergen was second. Zilich was back in 9th after the pit stop. SVG got the lead. Zilich was flying through traffic. He was up to 3rd at the end of one lap. And this is where the issues really started. SVG was slow. He was definitely the second fastest car there. But he was making that car so wide, it was ridiculous. Once again, we have a part-time guy. Both drive for Junior Motorsports.
Both are Red Bull teammates.
Yeah, they are both Red Bull guys. And you're blocking your teammate who's racing for a championship when you're just there to win races. It pissed me off. It went on for laps and laps. Got to the point that Austin Hill actually got by Zilich in second because he was trying to figure out a way to pass Van Gisbergen. And then Michael McDowell, who was 4th, was able to catch up to him. So now we got a 4-car race here because SVG's car is 97 feet wide on a 48-foot wide track. It was ridiculous. I don't know why people weren't screaming at him on the radio to just move his ass over. I'm an SVG fan, but this was stupid. Eventually, Zilich ended up going off track, which everybody does, because this isn't Formula One. These guys just go wherever there's pavement, they can race.
Sometimes they go where there isn't pavement, too.
That is true. Zilich was off track, came back on, and he did clip SVG, turned him into the wall hard. It sucked. Zilich knew he screwed up. You could hear him on the radio. SVG earned it, in my opinion. I don't like wrecking people. I don't think Zilich did it on purpose, but it looked bad all around for both of them. Dale Jr. needed to do some screaming after that race because it was just ridiculous. It didn't have to happen. They would have easily finished first and second. Zilich restarted in the lead with 15 to go. Austin Hill tried to dump him. He dropped back to 5th, and there was a caution for debris. There's a restart with 11 to go. Michael McDowell had the lead. Zilich was able to pass him clean because Michael McDowell is not an idiot. Then, just as in the truck race, things got stupid.
I feel like that should just be a segment you have.
Things get stupid?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just stop the recaps at all and just talk about the stupid stuff that happened in NASCAR this week and make the show, well, probably about the same length because I could go more in depth with the stupidity. So Austin Hill, never afraid to wreck people. He left rear hooked Michael McDowell into the wall hard in the narrowest portion of the track, causing a 17-car wreck and a 45-minute red flag as they cleaned everything up and welded the walls back together.
I think we need to talk about Austin Hill here because he just came back from a suspension for wrecking someone intentionally, and then he went and wrecked someone intentionally in another dangerous area.
Well, he tried to wreck multiple people intentionally because he tried to wreck Zilich, but Zilich held on and was able to rejoin the field in fifth, and then he goes and tries to kill Michael McDowell here.
I mean, the McDowell wreck, it reminded me of, from back in the day, if you go way back in the time machine, David Reagan and David Ruderman had a big crash at that same spot at Watkins Glen back in like 2007 or 8. It looked a lot similar, except nobody flipped this time, I don't think.
Nope,
Right? No.
nobody flipped. So once they restarted, Sammy Smith was in first. Don't know how he got there, but hey, whatever. Didn't matter. Zilich took the lead quickly and drove off to win his 6th win in his rookie year. But wait, there's more. You've all seen it. You've all heard it. You've all laughed because you thought it was funny. It wasn't. While celebrating, Zilich climbed to the roof of his car in Victory Lane, as everyone does. The team was all throwing water from water bottles. Looked like he slipped when he got to the roof, and his other foot got caught in the window net, and he fell headfirst from his car onto the concrete unconscious. He was transported to the hospital, has a broken collarbone. No info on what the current Xfinity points leader is going to be doing. Xfinity is off this coming week, and you've got some news on Connor Zilich, right?
Yeah, didn't they decide to put a plate and screws in to speed up that recovery?
They did. I think that is probably because of Shane Van Gisbergen on SVG a few years ago when he was still running in Australia, broke his collarbone and a couple ribs, and came back and raced the next week because they screwed and plated him. So I'm sure he had something to do with Zilich getting that done. I mean, the kid, well, I can't say he will win the championship because you never know with NASCAR. It just
He's
depends
the
if
best
you win the
driver.
last race, but he is far and above the best driver in the series right now. I really hope that he can come back. I agree with you that maybe Daytona is not a good race to come back. If NASCAR will give him a waiver, I don't know their policy, as they've already given him a waiver from when he hurt his back earlier in the season. He had to miss a race. So I'm not sure what is going to go on with that.
I don't anticipate any problems with that. I mean, there's 3 races left. He has a 7-point lead in the championship right now. He could probably still win the regular season championship if he missed Daytona, because I don't know, it might be Richmond, but they also have another road course in Portland coming up.
Richmond is this week, and Xfinity is off.
Okay. Well, Xfinity has 3 races left, I think, and he can win at least one of them. So I don't think he should rush back for Daytona, because that's not really a track you want to be coming off a fresh injury for. I think he needs to prioritize the long term here. You want to race every race, but it might not be the best thing to do.
That's not the athlete way, though, is it?
No, it's not.
Hopefully he's got some smart people around him. And wishing all the best to our pal Connor Zilich.
Moving on to IndyCar, who was in Portland. I think is it the same track that NASCAR will be at?
I haven't the faintest idea.
I can't imagine there's multiple tracks in Portland, so it's probably the same one.
I'm surprised there's a track in Portland. You'd think the eco people would have had it shut down for greenhouse gases and global warming by now.
Well, Pato O'Ward started out strong. He needed to get maximum points to have any chance in the championship, and he started on pole. So that's a bonus point, I think. Polo started in like 5th or 6th, so there was a little bit of a chance. Early caution, Santino Ferrucci on lap 2 or 3 spun into a wall all by himself. It was coming onto the front straightaway. it was a right-hand turn, and he got on the gas just a little bit too early, kind of like Joseph Newgarden did at Road America earlier, and just lost the rear and into the wall, couldn't save it.
Maybe he thought he was in a midget at the Chili Bowl and just punched it.
Could be. Either way, he'd be punching the air afterwards because it was kind of a rookie mistake. After that, we had a little bit of a schmozzle, I would say. I would call it. Between Connor Daly and Christian Rasmussen.
Oh, that was more than a schmozzle.
Yeah,
I don't know what's higher than a schmozzle.
I don't know. I'll have to do some research. There were a few different incidents. They were fighting on the alternate strategy. They had both pitted on lap 4 after the Ferrucci crash, and they were both leading in that strategy. So it started out Christian Rasmussen. He made an aggressive pass on Daly. Both of them went off the track. Daly was very unhappy about it. He got shoved way off the track. I guess if you go off the track trying to pass someone and push them off, that was way too optimistic of a move. So then Daly, he rejoined somewhat unsafely, tried to squeeze Rasmussen into the wall to show him he was displeased with that. And then later on in that lap, Daly was able to pass Rasmussen around the outside of a turn. And then going into the next turn, Rasmussen, it looked like he just intentionally wrecked him. It looked pretty bad. Interestingly, there was no penalty. So I'm going to have to give my analysis to this. Because Daly went off. He got hooked in the left rear in a right-hand turn and went into a wall at probably 140 miles an hour. It was a big crash. You don't want to see that kind of crash, especially in Indy cars. They are pretty safe now, but it's still a scary thing when you're going towards a wall at 140. I think you need to judge it as 3 separate incidents. I think IndyCar didn't. That was the explanation I saw as to why there was no action. They said it was a continuation and both drivers did things that canceled out. I don't agree with that. I think the first incident of Rasmussen passing off the track and pushing Daly off, he should have had to give that place back. That's the penalty I would give for that. Not a time penalty or anything, since he just misjudged the corner, but he was at fault there, and I think he should have given the place back. Daly's rejoin, I think that would be kind of a you get called to the IndyCar hauler or the stewards or whatever they have afterwards and get some sort of reprimand, because that was kind of dangerous, and you want to see people stay cool better than that. You don't want to be hot-headed. So that's what I would do with that. And then on that final contact where Daly got sent into the wall, and he actually posted on his Instagram a helicopter view that showed it looked pretty intentional. If you haven't seen it, you should check out that post, because it looks pretty bad. We didn't get to see any of the in-car from Rasmussen, probably because it showed him turning in and wrecking Daly. And Rasmussen afterwards said something along the lines of, well, that's what you get for trying to pass her on the outside, which I didn't like that attitude. Besides that, I would have black flagged him, pulled him in, parked him for the rest of the race, and I'd be talking about a suspension, because it was egregious and it was excessive and it has no place in racing.
I concur.
Anyways, after that, Will Power led the field back to the green flag. Penske finally looked like they had a decent race going. Their first one of the year, really.
Yeah, Will Power seems to be the only guy who's performing for Penske this year.
I guess he's got something to drive for, since we don't know if he's got a ride for next year.
Now, isn't that ridiculous? I'm sorry to interrupt your race. Would you like to continue with the
No,
race?
Go ahead, by all means.
This is stupid. I am a huge Penske fan, only in Indy cars. I like Roger Penske as a person. I am a Indy Penske fan. I don't comprehend why the best driver you have overall in willpower, you aren't signing him up. I understand we're looking towards the future, whatever, sign somebody and loan them out to another team until Will Power's 75 years old and isn't the best performing driver on your team. But to have this guy, he has no contract. There's 2 races left in the season, and all signs point to them signing David Malukas, which, yeah, fine, Malukas is a good driver, but Will Power is the best you have. Why are you going to dump him? I don't get it. That's my problem. So yeah, carry on.
At this point, Devlin DeFrancesco had a 3-place penalty, had to give up 3 positions for blocking. I didn't see what happened there, so I guess IndyCar gave out some penalties, but not others.
So if you block someone, it's a penalty, but if you try to kill someone, it's not.
No, I guess they didn't see that one. They were too busy watching the rear end of Devlin DeFrancesco.
Well, does he have a nice rear end?
I don't know. Ask IndyCar. Anyways, Pato O'Ward, his championship hopes were over. It looked like he blew a motor on lap 21. Later on, we found out it was an electrical issue. Something came unplugged. Team principal Tony Kanaan said he has no idea how it happened. It took him 7 or 8 laps to figure out what it was and plug it back in.
And that's why you got to zip tie them connectors together. Spend $5 on a 1,000 pack of zip ties. You zip tie every connector together.
But
Sorry, I interrupted again.
So that sealed Alex Palou's championship bid. His 4th overall, 3rd in a row, I believe. Which we all expected. It was really just a formality at this point.
He is the best.
Will Power pitted and got ahead of the leaders of the other strategy. The cautions really played in his favor on Sunday. Those other guys he came out of in front of were Lundgaard and Rosenquist, and it was really the 3 of them who were working their way through the other cars that hadn't pitted. It was tough to pass. I'll talk about that in a minute. The fuel strategies eventually converged, and it was Power leading from Lundgaard, and then Alex Palou made his way into 3rd. And Palou was very fast. When he got into 3rd, there were about 20 seconds between him and the lead. By the end of the race, it was down to nothing. Top 3 were front to back. So Palou was the fastest driver yet again. But before that, Joseph Newgarden running in the top 5, I think. He got spun by Scott Dixon. Newgarden had come out of the pits right ahead of Dixon. Dixon wasn't having any of that and spun him into a chicane. There was no action taken. I would have given a penalty there, but again, IndyCar, they've got a very, very complicated penalty system. It's probably like the NASCAR point system in that it makes no sense and doesn't work.
Man, Joe New is having a bad year, isn't he?
Yeah, because he got stuck facing the wrong way for quite a while, waiting for everyone to go past him. This is a year to forget for him. At this point, the leaders were all stuck behind Marcus Ericsson, who was almost a lap down, but was not yet. They were stuck behind him for at least 20 laps. One thing I don't like about IndyCar is their blue flag policy. That's because they don't seem to have one. I know I'm a big Formula One fan, and when you're getting lapped, it's if the leader's within like a second and a half or 2 seconds of you, you have to get out of the way. Like you've got 3 marshal posts, get out of the way, otherwise you get black flagged. I like that. I don't want back markers interfering with the battle for the lead. IndyCar, I feel they kind of dropped the ball on this one because I don't find much excitement in a race where the leaders can't pass 20th place. That's just me. Some people may like it. It closes up at the front, gives other people opportunities, but I always want the fastest guy to win, and I don't really care what the margin is. So I guess I like boring races. But
you do. You would like to see people lap the field.
But that's my complaint about the IndyCar blue flag policy. Palou tried to make a move for second. He had to drive it in a little too deep, and Lundgaard got back around him. Once they finally got around the lap cars, power started to open up the gap a little. Lundgaard had used up his tires trying to catch him. And then Alex Below tried the outside around Lundgaard for second. Didn't quite work. He went off track, got in the grass, and lost some time. And they ended that way with Will Power taking his and Penske's first win of the season. Lundgaard finishing second, and Palou finishing on the podium in his championship sealing run. And I just wanted to say one thing. IndyCar generally has good racing. I didn't find this to be a very good race. Passing was just about impossible. I mean, Polo had such a speed advantage, and he couldn't even pass Lundgaard once he passed him. Or he didn't pass him. Once he caught him, he could not pass.
Do you think it's the track or do you think it's the cars? Because like in NASCAR, it's the cars because of the aero package and the way the wind comes off everything where you get stuck and you can't pass anybody.
I don't know. You could say it's something to do with the push to pass on tracks like this because it's a short track. I think qualifying they were all running 58-second laps, and I find that to be pretty short. But it might just be the track. I really don't know because on other road courses they've had some really good racing, but this one just it wasn't. So something to look into. It also could be the tires. It was 92 degrees, I think. Track temps were close to 130. If people were losing tires, didn't have a lot of grip, that could add to it. But I think they should look at that because we've had 15 races this year and 14 of them have been pretty good. This one just wasn't.
All right. And who'd you say won?
Will Power.
Oh, Will Power. And who doesn't have a seat for next year?
Will Power.
Oh, okay. Carry on. Let's go back to Watkins Glen for the unsponsored NASCAR Cup. Ryan Blaney was on pole and led the entire first stage until pitting to flip it, giving the stage win to Chris Buescher in the caution-free first stage. Gosh, that's nice to say. They just raced the whole stage. Ryan Preece stayed out. There were a few guys who tried to make it into a two-stop race. I feel like I'm talking about Formula One here. We had the two-stop strategy versus the three-stop strategy. So Preece stayed out. That didn't really work. SVG passed him before the first lap was complete. There was a caution. Everyone was stuck behind Chase Elliott, who was also trying the two-stopper. His tires were gone. He was slow as hell. Everybody was stacked up behind him. Ty Dillon got into the back of Josh Berry and spun him. Berry hit the wall, but NASCAR's they're pretty good on road courses. They did not throw the yellow. Berry got it going again, but he dropped enough souvenirs that they had to throw caution for his debris. Restart was led by Shane Van Gisbergen, who led the rest of the stage until pitting to flip it, which gave the stage win to Ryan Blaney. Blaney led to start stage 3, but SVG got it back quick. Green flag pit cycle was long with the two different pit strategies going on. SVG pitted with 27 to go, which gave the lead to Briscoe. He pitted 6 laps later, which gave it to the old man Brad Keselowski, who led until 16 laps left, which gave it back to its rightful owner, Shane Van Gisbergen, who easily won by 11 seconds over Christopher Bell. I just want to note that this was a well-driven race. Maybe it's because everybody knew they didn't have a chance to win because Shane Van Gisbergen doesn't lose. So they figured we'll just drive nice and get through it. So yeah, here's a weird stat of the day. I learned this today. First time ever in the history of NASCAR.
That's 75 years if you're counting.
That 2 races consecutively, so Iowa and Watkins Glen, all cars finished the race. It's the first time ever that all cars were running on the last lap in 2 consecutive races. Our dog is even excited because she thinks that's the craziest thing. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I saw from multiple sources. First time ever that all the cars were running in 2 races in a row. I mean, consecutively. So you didn't have to correct me. I know it's not in a row because 2's not a row. Anything else?
No, that's a pretty nice stat. I enjoyed that.
All right, so not a lot going on next week. Trucks Friday night at Richmond. Xfinity is off. Cup Saturday night at Richmond. I like both races at night because then you don't waste your day watching racing. Indy is off until the Snap-on 250 in Milwaukee. Formula One is off. MotoGP is off. World Endurance Championship's off.
Yeah. There's not much. I'll have
IMSA's
something.
off.
I'll have something for you next week. Maybe some more stats.
Stats. Probably some more people getting fired. Maybe people signing contracts. Who knows? But have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.